So, remember in the Azel video when I said that my opinion on gold paladins in standard would probably be swayed depending on what the backup grade 3 is? Well, we got them today. We actually got another grade 3 like a week ago, but no one really seemed interested in that, so I didn't really have much of a desire to talk about it. But people are talking about our brand new card that was revealed to us today, and I think he is worth talking about because I got some thoughts on this guy. So first up, let's get right into who he is. He is white hair in the moon shadow Pellinore. A lot of people are shocked we didn't get Great Silverwolf Garmor, as Great Silverwolf Garmor was the original Gold Paladin Grade 3, and in my opinion was maybe one of the best Grade 3 Gold Paladins. I played this guy until like Liberators. He was so good at the time. But this guy was actually really strong at the time as well. He had this amazing ability to, and he was called from the deck, it was like discard a card and just write him as the Vanguard. This was insane at the time. There weren't a lot of restanding Vanguards at the time, especially ones that had such a simple cost as him. It wasn't that hard to cull stuff from the deck at the time. You had your Vivians, you had your starting Vanguard Springbreeze Messenger, you had Lop-Ear Shooter. He was not hard to get out at all. And when he did get out, like an extra Vanguard attack could really end it. Even if his limit break simply just put 2 units on deck, gain 5,000 power for 2 units, wasn't as amazing as some other limit breaks at the time, it was still a very powerful card and could really lead to some really just broken turns. This guy, well, let's go over the effect. I'm not going to put the text up this time, as I feel like that doesn't seem to help much, so I'm just going to read it. So, and also, you've probably seen this card by now. I'll link the wiki page in the description. So, activates from the hand, just like Azel. At the end of the battle that your rearguard's attack hits a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 3, ride this card as stand, and this unit gets -1 drive until the end of the turn. Interesting. Then his second effect, at the end of the battle that your rearguard attacked a Vanguard, cost Counterblast 1, and return that attacked unit to your hand. That's kind of cool, because what I like about that second effect is that it doesn't specify the attack has to hit. So let's say you're using an effect that calls from the top of the deck, and you don't really get any good calls. You get like a perfect guard or like triggers. You can always just call them, attack, they'll be able to hit because they're on an Excel circle most likely, and then you just get them back. That's not bad at all. Golds are not super counterblast heavy this time around. I don't think that second effect is bad at all. Is it necessarily like the greatest effect ever? No, but I like it. And also it's cute that it's kind of the opposite of Zel's effect. So then we are left with the main effect, which in the right circumstances is insane. To have that level of pressure in standard that every rearguard attack could potentially lead to a new Vanguard attack is absolutely crazy. It creates so much pressure, and with how much golds can swarm the field in a premium with the Excel circles and stuff and cards like Vivian and Bowman's, you really put your opponent in a situation where they've got to guard everything and they got to be careful as hell. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a problem here, and it's the same problem with Azel, and that is this thing requires setup, specific setup. Now, the fact that you have to Soul Blast 3 is the problem. Golds are depending a lot on Soul this time around, so that means you need to focus on maintaining this thing. And the thing is, as it stands, in my opinion, the best gold card right now is Vivian, who you are definitely going to play a 4 of, and will cost Soul. And that's sort of where the problem comes in, and that is you need to watch resource management in a way other decks don't necessarily have to. So many decks in this game are so synergized correctly that you don't even really need to think of costs as costs. Things like Oracles doesn't really matter about discards. Tachi's Soul Guard, who cares? They're able to freely use these things because they're designed to work well with the deck. Golds have a lot of Soul Blast cost, but they don't really have a lot of ways to regain that soul outside of like Din Drain. And now many people are like, oh, it's standard, you just keep rewriting for gift markers. Well, that's if you can get that off. And now, under the right circumstances, this thing can be very powerful, but we're right back to the Azel thing. You have to get those circumstances right. And who's to say, in a world where golds are a deck, people won't build their builds for being able to just guard all the rear guard attacks they can. Who's to say they won't just let every Vanguard attack hit? Because this sort of logic of setting up for a big, powerful grade 3 turn, it's what Royals have to do with Soul Saver and D-Police for Ultimate Dayusha, and there's a reason those decks aren't performing at the level of those other decks, and that is because, well, those other decks don't need to worry about setup as much. Now, yes, Oracle's main grade 3, Empress, I forget the rest of the name, and Kagero with their main grade 3 Dragonic Waterfall do require setup. You need a grade 3 in Soul, or to have ridden a grade 3. But that's not that hard. The deck already wants to do that to get gift markers. With this guy, you have to maintain Soul. With Azel, you have to get specific units out. You have to do a lot, and their effects are powerful, but there's still a lot of areas for things to go wrong. Units can be retired if you have to wait a turn. You might have to use Soul early to build a board to stop a deck that they figured out just either guard early or don't guard early. Like, people will adapt to play against this deck because, well, you kind of are forced into these two big power plays. And if they work, fine, but that's the thing. We spent all of G-era being like, oh, if Reigning Form works perfectly, you're going to win the game. If all the Gurgwitz strides work, it's going to win you the game. Well, people adapt, and they figure out how you need to guard correctly and what units to take out. So, yeah, it's a little risky. Don't get me wrong. When he goes off, he'll be amazing. It almost makes me wonder if Azel and this guy are almost more designed to be used in Premium, where there are the more flexible options for getting units out and building Soul. If that's the case, though, well, Premium gets a little obnoxious. I like Standard. So I don't really know what to expect out of this thing. It didn't give me the confidence I wanted. I have no doubt many people will try and pull off nutty cheese plays with this thing, but that's just it. They're going to be nutty cheese plays. They're not going to be the consistent finishers we want out of Gold Paladin. And then we move on to the other grade 3, and he sort of weirdly symbolizes my problem, Battlefield Storm Sagarmor. His effect is when placed from the hand, cost Soul Blast 1, draw a card, and call a card from your hand to rearguard. This is good. He's simple, he does what he's supposed to, and he gets your Excel circle. That's what I want out of the other two, not these big complicated power plays. Give me something I can just use consistently. As it stands, this guy might be their best grade 3, just because I don't need to worry about setup. He'll just get me there. I want cards that get me there. And as it stands, I'm more excited about Gold's grade 2 lineup, which sucks because this game is called Vanguard. You kind of want to make your deck focus around a Vanguard, but I feel like we can't really count on that with Golds. Because again, like I said, people will adapt. They'll figure out how to fight the units. But maybe I'm wrong. That's just kind of how I see it. What do you think? In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on Gold Paladins. I know we still have a couple more cards left from the booster coming, but I feel like at this point we kind of know where they're taking everything. But what do you think? In the comment section below, tell me about these cards, future Gold Sport, because the next round of Gold Sport's not that far away anyways, and anything else you're interested in the game. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and we'll see if Golds really do some powerful stuff.